Previously on MexStark.
What if at the beginning, that nothingness divided into all the positive energy and all the negative energy? We've reached a point where science seems to be rendered useless. So what now? Ironically, the most satisfactory answer I have found is that we know nothing. That's perfectly fine.
There's no such thing as one dimension? Fuck.
Age of the cosmos are beyond ordinary human understanding, like a moon of dust in the morning sky. There's a tingling in the spine, in the voice, a faint sensation as if a distant memory
That was
of falling.
unexpected.
We know we are approaching the grandest of mysteries. The size and age of the cosmos are beyond ordinary human understanding. Lost somewhere.
So the gas was contained inside my body, which is a contained space on its own. Now the gas is out, spreading into the room, which is another contained space. What if I trap the gas into a bottle? I mean, with enough pressure, condensation may happen, but that's not the point. If I have this bottle, am I carrying a chunk of space with me? Or is space the fundamental fabric of reality? Like a canvas. Of course, it would have to be a 3D canvas, but still it's not something we can feel. Fuck!
It shows much promise. In the last few millennia, we have made the most astonishing and unexpected species young and curious.
Hello, son. You've managed to connect. At last.
Void Father?
No?
Oh, my bad. I thought I'd finally found nothingness.
You have to learn to let go, son.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to let go, trust me, but curiosity is my Achilles heel.
Don't be ashamed of the power you've been granted. Wield it wisely, and you can unlock amounts of joy unimaginable to you, right now.
Ha! I see what you did there. Imagination fuels curiosity, right? And since I'm a curious guy, I can already imagine all that future joy.
You're goddamn right. It seems that you're not that stupid after all.
Thanks, I guess. What is this place?
You stand in the first dimension, where all things begin. I am Cosmoros, the guardian of space.
Wait, is this a dream?
Dream? Reality? It matters not. What matters now is that you are conscious.
What am I doing here?
That answer lies within you. Reflect. Contemplate.
Can I get a hint?
Your thoughts have been restless.
All right. I'm not able to grasp the meaning of space. I mean, I guess I get the basics, but I don't know what it is exactly.
Do you need to know?
Yes?
Does your survival depend on it?
No?
Then why seek to grasp the unfathomable? Remember that a subset is not meant to understand the subset.
But...
Quiet. You know deep down that this is an impossible question for your mortal mind.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Turn your mind to imagination and creation, but abandon the pursuit of certainty, for it leads only to despair.
Will do.
Good. Now get the fuck out, before I regret bringing you here.
Shut up. I know.
Whew. Hey there again. The more I try to understand the universe, the closer I get to lose my mind. Here's a quick question for you. Have you ever wondered how a one-dimensional world would look like? Well, I have. So let's go find a rock so I can show you. Okay, I found one. Well, theoretically, it would look like this. Just a line, no width or height. Are you seeing the problem already? Let's get closer. Okay, here we go. That looks like height to me. I don't know about you, but yeah. So, as you can see, we're just getting started and we've already broken the theory. That's why we shouldn't rely too much on it. It's just the starting point. There's a huge difference between theory and practical understanding. So let's keep going. Theories are like fiction stories. They're the way our egos attempt to find possible answers for things we can't fully understand. Our minds crave certainty. But that's not to say that theories are completely useless. In fact, they're the starting point for finding the truth.
I'm sorry. Would you please rephrase the question? Huh?
How did I get in this taxi?
The door opened. You got in. Hell of a day, isn't it?
Hello from Waymo. As we get going, just give us 1 minute to cover a few riding tips.
You have a lot of contacts.
I'm very popular.
Really? Does this mean you actually have friends?
You just know me so well.
You know me so well. Juniper, there's something very important that I have to tell you. I've grown really fond of you in a way that feels impossible to put into words.
Oh wow, that's crazy. I was just about to tell you I see you like a distant cousin I met once at a wedding.
Why not even computers like me?
They become the abstract component that hopefully will help us obtain practical comprehension, which is what truly matters. At least as far as this reality is concerned, anyway. Here's one of the most important parts. Just as scientists are wrong all the time, you can too. In fact, I encourage you to be wrong as much as possible. That's how we learn and we move forward. But here's the twist. Let's call it a paradox. How do we know we are wrong? Or right, for that matter? We don't. I'll give you an example. If I throw a rock in an upwards direction like this, 99.99% of people would say that the rock will go back to the ground in no time. But not me. I mean, that's the most likely scenario, of course, but what I mean is that it's only happening that way because of the current conditions we're in. I'm on planet Earth, current temperature is 26 degrees Celsius, we are 150 million kilometers away from the sun, and we're approximately traveling at 10,700 kilometers per hour around it. But what would happen if those conditions were to change for some reason? I mean, just because it hasn't happened before doesn't mean that it's never going to happen, right? So now I want you to think about this. Let's say that we were on planet MS 2026 at a temperature of 5,000 degrees Celsius. And this planet had a mass 20 trillion times bigger than our sun's, while at the same time being closer to a black hole that has slowly been eating away the planet for the past million years. So this rock wouldn't have the same faith, would it? So it seems that there's no such thing as absolute truth. So what was all that? Thought you'd never ask. Actually, you didn't, did you? Anyway, so that was my attempt of independent thought, which nowadays unfortunately seems to be a thing of the past. What I want for you is to defy current theories, facts and assumptions. I want you to think for yourself and understand that no one has the absolute truth. You can come up with the most weird and stupid ideas, because at the end of the day, you might be as right as wrong as Albert Einstein or Copernicus were. Now, with that in mind, what the hell is space? At the very beginning of the video, you saw the official definition of space, the boundless three-dimensional continuum in which all matter and energy exist, move, and interact. So what do you think? Is that definition going to cut it? I believe that maybe we should see what others think.
Todo aquello que pudiera ser llenado por algo a su vez, ya sea en cuanto a lo visual o lo sonoro. Aparte de la vastedad que nos hace imaginar, pues el simple y vasto universo, conocido y no conocido también.
Un espacio, yo que sé, sin sentido, o sea que no hay nada, es un espacio solo, solitario.
Que no hay nada, dijiste, ¿verdad?
Ajá. Un espacio negro, sin nada.
Un espacio negro sin nada.
No, pero ¿por qué me preguntas eso? Tiempo, pues vacío, algo vacío, no sé. Algo hueco, algo vacío, así.
Lo de arriba, todo lo que es de arriba, ¿qué no? Es una pregunta sin respuesta, así se llama eso.
El espacio es parte del universo, infinito, algo complejo. Es parte del universo y es parte de donde venimos.
Hey, Doc, so I have a question. What's space? Yo.
Interesting, isn't it? Most participants seem to have an intuitive understanding of space. I mean, by scientific standards, all of these people would be considered illiterate, including myself. But somehow, they were able to provide reasonable answers. So this is my definition of space. Of course, I had a little more time to think about it, but here it goes. Space is the fundamental infinite dimensional fabric of reality where every entity, known and not known, exists. I know it's nothing revolutionary, but it acknowledges the unknowns and infinite dimensions, including what we or even extraterrestrial civilizations have yet to discover. Some scientists believe that space is infinite and that it's constantly expanding. I think the latter feeds the belief of the former. If something keeps expanding, surely it must be endless, right? But let's contemplate this for a second. Let's strip away all the complexity, forget about matter, energy, all of it. Let's just focus purely on space itself. The universe is like the whole, but right now we're only concerned with space. So while the expansion might imply that space is getting larger, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's infinite. What if space is a sphere? That would make it finite, but unbounded. You could walk along it, but you'll never reach an edge. If you're confused, don't worry, I didn't understand a word of whatever you said, so let's do the visualization thing. So this is the dimension of space, the matrix, the fabric of space, the lattice, whatever you want to call it. Let's pretend for a moment that this little thing right here is the one that's constantly expanding. Like so. So, as you can see, it's a sphere. Well, kind of. You could walk along it and you'll never find an edge. This is the thing that we're trying to understand. This thing right here. Isn't this fascinating? And I know this is an impossible question since this is one of the boundaries of reality. It has no answer, but damn if I want to know. Anyway, every single human who ever lived right here. Every single moment since the beginning of time happened right here. Every single thing you could think of is contained here. How something with no shape, color, or essence can be this beautiful. Now I understand why beauty is an abstract and subjective concept. So let's say that this is space just a few minutes after the Big Bang. As you can see, there's not much space between these marks here. This is supposed to be matter. So now let's go back to present day. Careful, careful there! God damn! Shit. Okay, now there is quite a big gap between the marks, as you can see. Okay, what is the point of this visualization then? So as you can see, while the fabric of space expands, the distance between the elements, which in this case is matter, keeps getting larger. So can we say that if the expansion of space continues infinitely, then the universe is infinite? I guess we can. But what if at some point this expansion stops? Or if it's even happening in the first place? For all we know, this might as well be an illusion. And sorry to burst your bubble, but remember that uncertainty is the only constant in the universe. Can I grab a container and collect some space in it? Is that even possible? Do I have a chunk of space in here? What if I move the bottle like this? The space I captured before, is it now here? Or is it back here? Or is this a new chunk of space? How? I didn't even open the bottle. Clearly, space is not something we can manipulate like matter. In fact, Einstein believed that space was malleable in the presence of massive objects like stars and black holes. And this warping or malleability in the fabric of space is what we perceive as gravity. So previously I talked about how a one-dimensional world would look like. Basically, just a line, length, or height. Could it be depth? Damn, guess it's also a matter of perspective. Glasses back on. So in any case, I still believe that there's no such thing as one dimension, but let's move on. Then we have two dimensions, length and height, or width. Anyway, you're probably watching this video on a screen that is showing you 2D images, unless you're using a holographic display, of course, which would be kind of cool. But you know what's even cooler? How these displays are able to trick our brains into believing that we are actually looking at 3D content when we're actually not. It's just a clever illusion that's tricking our brains again. But we are so used to this illusion that we don't question it anymore. Fascinating. Then we have 3 dimensions: length, height, and depth, or width. This is how we experience the world, or our reality, at least as far as we know. But I strongly believe that there are more than these dimensions. The problem is that with our current level of consciousness, we're not able to perceive them or interpret them as such. In the meantime, do you know what's the 4th dimension? Damn, I'm running late. I want you to picture this and tell me with a straight face that it's not fascinating. I can move in 3D space like this, and at the same time Earth is doing the exact same thing, rotating on its own axis. Each complete rotation is what we know as an Earth day, but at the same time Earth is moving around the Sun. Yes, in this very moment we are moving through space at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. And guess what? Our solar system is also orbiting the Milky Way. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the Milky Way is also orbiting something as well. But on top of all that, do you remember how the fabric of space is expanding as we speak? Well, there you have it. It doesn't get more mind-blowing than that, does it?
A terrifying question might be, when do these recursive cycles end? I'm starting to love uncertainty. I never thought that I would say that.
Now we have some understanding of space, at least as far as our mortal minds will let us go. We believe that space is the fabric of reality where everything exists. Space is not something we can touch. It's certainly not something we can manipulate, smell, or even see. I would say that space by itself probably looks like nothingness. But I won't go back there. I certainly won't. Well, it's time to accept that this is as far as we can go, for now. Perhaps in the future someone will be able to elevate his or her consciousness to a level that will allow us to move one step further into the understanding of a universe and reality. Or maybe someone is finding that out right now. Guess we'll see.
Let's go.
Hey guys, How's it going? What's going on, guys?
We got him, boss.
What's this?
You return once more, wanderer of thoughts.
Cosmoros?
Indeed.
What am I doing here again? It looks a bit different though.
That is for you to reveal, not I.
I just remember that I was shooting a video and some random guys appear out of nowhere and knocked me out. Did they kill me?
No. I decreed that your mortal shell remain intact.
What? So was it you? Why?
Consider it a correction, of course. You have strayed, blind to the meaning of our last meeting.
What are you talking about? I was just trying to get a better understanding of some things.
Such understanding is not yours to claim. To seek beyond your reach is to toy with ruin.
But...
Silence! The boundaries of the universe are not for your mind to unravel. They are for your spirit to work upon.
What does that even mean?
You must discover that for yourself. Now awaken, and carry this wisdom forward.
Wait! Cosmoros! Wait!
It's the end of the show. Let's go.
Good job. That was nice, Marius.
Hey, you still there? Let's think about this for a second. We believe that space is infinite, right? An ever-expanding dimension with no beginning and no end. But have you ever noticed how our imagination shares that exact same boundlessness? Just like space, our imagination knows no limits. It grows as far as we dare to take it. You can sit for 24 hours straight, coming up with the wildest thoughts, and there won't be a shortage of them. Perhaps that's the reason we are so fascinated with space. Deep down, we know that the infinity out there is just a reflection of the infinity within our minds. The word existence comes from the Latin existere, which means to stand out or to emerge. Now, hear me out, because this is one of the things that baffles me the most about space. It has no existence in itself, yet, ironically, it allows everything else to exist. Did you know that the solidity of matter is believed to be an illusion? We are made mostly out of empty space. The essence of all things is emptiness, and emptiness is nothingness. However, everything came out of nothing, and at the end everything will return to nothing, making nothingness the beginning and the end of everything. So is that thought comforting, confusing, or terrifying? Space is permeating every inch of what we perceive as our reality. It's the beginning and the end, and in a weird way is also nothing. which is the concept we discussed in the previous episode. So how do we miss all these details so easily? Well, that's because we're always distracted by the things contained in space rather than space itself. When you realize that every physical form is destined to dissolve, a shift in your consciousness happens. You understand that nothing matters all that much, and that impermanence is the most permanent thing there is. Of course, you're only gonna cease to exist as a living organism, but your matter will continue traveling through space, probably infinitely, as dust or some other form of matter. Space is another concept that is not meant to be understood. That's why I chose it as the second boundary of reality. But I'll do one last futile effort to help you grasp it, even though we won't know if we're right. Think about this. If there was nothing but silence, you wouldn't know what silence is, would you? You only know what silence is because you know what sound is. Now let's apply that same logic to space. What if there was nothing but space? No matter, no energy, nothing. We would be just pure consciousness floating around the vastness of space. And we wouldn't know what space is. I mean, we still don't know that. That's the main reason this video exists. But what I mean is that we wouldn't be questioning the meaning of space because we wouldn't be even aware that space is something to be aware of. Space and the universe as a whole seem to be infinite and eternal. Just as religious people will say that the power of God is omnipresent, infinite, and eternal. But I'm not telling you to believe in God here. What I'm telling you is to do your own deep research, and if at the end you come to the conclusion that there must be a creator, so be it. I'm still working on this every single day, but if there's a piece of advice I could give you, is to surrender your existence to uncertainty.
After completing this story, probably the most profound discovery is not what we know about space, but that in not knowing, we find the freedom to imagine.